Masters Tour Arlington continues as we thought that round number 8 was prepared, but we have one final game of bonus coverage to provide for you while we are getting set up for round number 8, the pivotal round of the tournament. Who is our first players going to the top 8? In the meantime, we're going to check in on Game 5, and I believe it will be an all-Czech Republic civil war, as Faeli will be going up against Jarla, and the winner of that will be able to take the series.
Yeah, and Game 5, both players
5-1, I believe.
Yeah, doing quite well in the tournament. So this is a big one. I mean, I'm gonna say big one. It's just cliche at this point. They're all big. Every match.
It is gargantuan.
Is huge.
It is
Every
humongous. It is massive. It's
mage versus mage. The Highlander mage
It is
mirror.
Colossal.
Thesaurus.com I see there, Dan.
Talk about TJ. It would never be on my phone while I cast. It is monumental.
It's big.
Some even call it vast.
That one's questionable at best.
Others have called it immense.
You know what else
Yet
is
still,
vast?
people call it magnificent.
You know what else is vast, Dan?
T-Mobile nationwide coverage
5G
of 5G.
Thanks, T-Mobile.
There's no way one carrier could cover the entire nation, TJ. That fast. And be the only one.
In a gargantuan turn of events, Dan, it is possible. And it is real.
Well, as we get ready for game number 5, the Highlander Mage Mirror, this one is going to be very volatile. There's some moments where the Mage Mirror kind of feels like a nice little chess match back and forth. Then all of a sudden,
one player
each pawn becomes a queen when you play Pocket Galaxy.
Yep.
A queen when you play Pocket Galaxy.
Yep.
Jarla losing that polymorph, not going to be that significant of consequence, I'd say. I feel like Dragoncaster tends to be the first inflection point in this matchup head-to-head. It is curious to note, though, that both these players are running the polymorph, which Hunter Ace is not. Incidentally, would have been excellent in the matchup against Quest Priest, but how many Quest Priests do you expect to go up against?
Not that many,
Not
honestly.
that many.
But the ones that you will have to, you need to be afraid of, because there are a couple players with Priest floating around that top 8-ish standings at the moment. We saw it killing all day. Tiz as well with the combo Priest.
It's true. Jarla plays the Malygos Aspect of Magic, gets another polymorph opportunity.
He will overdraw a card going into the next turn. Espidal's mana will be at 10 cards with whatever this spell is, but he also took that risk last turn with the Book of Specters. On average, since about 2/3 of the deck is minions, on average you're going to draw 2 minions and discard 1 spell. So if he was taking that into account, then he knew that he'd be fine on hand space. But this turn, realizing not much else to play unless he wanted to snip, snap, and ping, which is a pretty weak play overall. He could have got Frostbolt, though. Malygos' Frostbolt, which would have allowed him to just kind of freeze his water elemental, deal a little bit of damage, and empty that hand space.
I do like the Frost Nova, though, because there comes that point where even if all of the pawns become queens, TJ, if it's time for a lunch break, everyone stops playing.
Okay. I thought this was going to be some profound chess analogy.
Wait, you've never stopped playing chess to go get some food?
I have stopped doing every activity I've done in my life to go get food at some point.
Exactly, so you understand.
I think I'm an exception, though, because I really like food. More than chess, in fact.
Interesting. I've always wondered what it's like for people like you. But yes, the idea is that when you set up the board and you play a Frost Nova, you freeze everything in place, then they Frost Nova you back, but they're not expecting a second copy per se. Although the Malagos and things like Caligos and Fire Tree Witch Doctor can all give you extra copies of it, which help you set up a 2, 3, maybe even 4 turn lethal opportunity.
They never expect that second queen, Dan. They never expect it.
Or the 3rd. Or the 4th, and so on and so forth.
I looked away to look at you for a moment, and I missed the card burn.
It was a Ziliax.
Okay, thank you.
Jarla plays the Power of Creation with Dragon Cast to get some tempo. Couple of awkward cards. The best statted minion is the Beast, but does he really want to give the Finkel Einhorn possibility to his opponent? Still is really good stats.
Yeah, just looking for raw power, it seems.
I mean, it is pretty raw power. It has a lot of raw power, rather. I mean, if you think about it, this is the kind of size minion that you are playing if you're a Big Druid to try and threaten your opponent. And still 18 damage.
Time runs out on me.
Where does this sheep go? Does it go face? Does it go to the minions? Did this little sheep go to the store and never come back?
I don't think that's part of the nursery rhyme, Dan.
What to do?
Well, it should be.
Teach kids lessons about life.
That's right.
Interesting to see it go into the Malagos. I would have expected it would go into the Water Elemental if a trade at all, so it can't value trade over the Dragon Caster, and he could still ping it down. But looks like he just wants to chip away at the highest health minion to be able to keep it in control if need be. I guess if he really needs to make some type of value trade, he could always see him out next turn into the Water Elemental, so maybe that weighed into his mind as far as negating a potential sheep attack.
That does sound terrifying.
Decisions.
A sheep attack.
I wonder.
Yeah. So I have Australian Shepherds is the kind of dog that I have. And
so they understand sheep.
They do understand sheep. But what is sometimes a not too acceptable behavior is that they try and herd other things.
Okay.
Like me or my 1.5-year-old son.
How do they herd you?
They try and keep you in a certain area. Especially if you let them loose outside.
Oh, they contain you. You're under quarantine.
Yeah. But, yeah. So I don't know what it's like to be the victim of a sheep attack, but I feel like I know what it's like to be a sheep.
Maybe you are the sheep attack. The Australian Shepherds are looking for you right now.
Oh, jeez.
You've been on the loose for how many days now?
A couple. I wish. I miss my dogs. I wish they'd come find me. Texas is a long ways away from home, though.
Maybe you should call them. Let them know you're safe. I'm sure your parole officers and Australian Shepherds would like to know your location. TJ's dogs have entered the chat. All right, well, as we check in on this, it looks like a little bit of slow play, freezing the beast with the blizzard, followed by just more development from Jarla. Is there an answer from Faeli? No. All right, back to the Shepherds.
Cool dog, though. Love them. I got 4 of them.
Oh, gosh. Conjur's calling. This is not looking good. Who knew that the beasts could be so intimidating? The beast attack. Now, that sounds a lot more intimidating.
Well, sheeps are a beast. So
they're a kind
it's
of
one
beast,
and the same.
But they're not the beast.
True.
I would pick a lot of beasts before I categorize sheep as the beast. It's like, you know, there's only one The Rock. There's a lot of rocks out there.
This is a good point. There's a lot of rocks.
There's only one The Rock.
And I don't know about you, but I can't smell what the other rocks are cooking.
What to do? What to do?
I don't know what that means.
Can you smell what the rock is cooking?
To engage a
You've
conversation
never heard that
about
before?
Sense. I'm scared to engage in a full-length conversation about sense with DJ. Snap for a little bit of
Time runs out
extra
on me.
tempo here. Just trying to power load the board, and the moment that the board buckles, he's got Alex Strauss at the end of the game here. So that's where the freeze battle ultimately favors Jarla. Faeli's had to use both freezes, and Jarla's still holding onto Malagos's Frost Nova.
The one benefit for this Mechanoegg for Faeli is he does have a Ziliax, but unfortunately that's not a good amount of healing right away, and the 8/8 is pretty inconsequential. But Dragoncaster picked up. He does have Power of Creation. Maybe can pick up like a damaged Stegatron.
It's true. I guess he could have played Power Creation regardless, but now he has 2 extra
What to
mana.
do?
Unfortunately, it doesn't allow him
What
to
to
do
do?
much else, so
That's also true.
I guess it wasn't as big of a pickup as I was hoping for. Arcane Keysmith discovers...
At the same time, he doesn't know what the secret is on Jarla's side. So if he just jammed the Dragoncaster and played Power of Creation, he would have to like throw out an Elemental Evocation in order to test for Counterspell.
Right. But if he did pick up Flame Ward, he had an opportunity. He does have the opportunity
Time runs out on
to
me.
soften up the board so that Flame Ward will not deal that much damage to him.
I wonder.
And if he uses Polymorph onto the beast, he's not going to get the Finkel Einhorn back. He's going to be missing that 3/3.
Yeah, he's just worried about how much damage he can take, it seems like.
Oof. If I'm Jarla, I still think I'm going for this Alex Strauss play to try to end the game right here, right now.
Yeah, it looks like it's guaranteed even through Flame Ward, because if
Right.
the only thing it wouldn't be would be Ice Barrier, right? Because then...
Yes, or Vaporize if you attack with the wrong order.
Yeah, if you attack the wrong order, but he does have one of these smaller minions in order to get it done. And he can attack first, because if it's Ice Barrier, then he can reevaluate. If it's Vaporize or Flame Ward, then he could just go for the Alex Strauss and kill anyway. So it is Ice Barrier.
I feel like I still play Alex Strauss and go face, but I guess there's no need to rush. You can just play Dragon Queen Alex Strauss and set up even more pressure.
Yeah, if he plays Alex Strauss and pushes face now, maybe a Ziliax punishes him on the Mechanoegg side plus something else.
Time runs out on
But on the upside, he can play Calicos and maybe discover direct damage spell the following turn to end the game through whatever.
Interesting. Looks like a Reno play
Yeah.
instead. Yeah, this makes sense. Give Faeli fewer chances to counterplay the board. This is still, by all means, a 2-turn lethal setup yet again. And now Faeli struggling. He is on the struggle bus and can't really get off. Can Caligos turn the tides? Is there a Power of Creation opportunity? There is also the ability for Faeli to go for a single Snip Snap with Ziliax,
Yes.
and then trade it into the Beast, and then get that Finkel Einhorn back on his side.
And I remember Sottle talking about getting in good habits when doing things in the correct order, even when it likely doesn't matter. That is the correct ordering of things most of the time, especially if you're playing Mage, by playing the Ziliax first and magnetizing the Snip Snap, because if Ziliax were to survive and you'd have like a Conjurer's Calling target, you'd be getting 5 drops instead of a 3 drops. So
Optimal.
yeah, just optimal instead of a 3 drops. So
Optimal.
yeah, just optimal play through and through, even though in this specific scenario, it's the same stats. It's going to die anyway. It doesn't matter. Getting into those good habits, even when it doesn't matter, means that when it does matter, you're going to make the correct play. I loved that point from Sottle yesterday. Sometimes he's an intelligent human.
Yeah, you know? Definitely can't disagree with that. I feel like, you know, as much as I like to meme that, I do think a lot of players say it doesn't matter, and then when we see it come up, it actually very much does matter. And the player goes, oh, how could this happen? I hate this game. It's like, no, actually, it's just your fault. Sorry, dude.
I
Or dudette, or person.
Well said, Dan. Very poetic.
It's a very long quote with many ellipses.
I hate this game.
It's true.
Was that
There's actually another very good quote on that note from Daigo Umehara, who's one of my role models when it comes to the competitive mindset, about how a lot of people, their first instinct is to start blaming the game, and they did not seek to improve anymore. I am mistranslating it, and I don't know the exact quote because he said it in Japanese, but the general concept, as we clear the board here with twisting down his efforts, the general concept is that player are looking for any other reason outside themselves to look for improvement. They'll look at stats and deck tracker, and they'll look at coaching and look at VODs and whatnot, but in the end, they have to fix certain things internally as well in order to improve before they can rely on those other things to improve.
Yeah.
Some people even rely on the balance team to improve at the game.
You can only work on what you can control.
Looks like I'm here.
Well, it's certainly fascinating to me too because you know, this big Dragon Queen Alexstrasza is going to present yet another lethal opportunity. So Faeli has to answer this, and he has no phrases. So it looks like he could be in a difficult spot. But on the final note of that, it just feels like there's so many opportunities to improve. And some words from a former champion, Osaka, used to tell me is that he thinks that it's impossible to play Hearthstone perfectly. He said there's always an opportunity to improve. And I feel like other players in his wake have really embodied that. People like Hunter Ace has said that multiple times, that like he thinks that Hearthstone is incredibly difficult and people are not playing anywhere near optimally. And I feel like Hunter Ace is like, you know, one of the bastions of like really good, quite close to optimal play. And even then, we still see his noticeable mistakes on stream sometimes, to which he is obviously has led to some heart-crushing moments.
Yes, it has.
Faeli does a good job finding a way to clear, though. That double gyrocopter, finding the rush Wind Fury, being able to shut down these 8/8s. So Faeli's still just kind of hanging in there. But kind of isn't really good enough here.
I wonder if you keep this dragon around to set up a... Yeah, I like this. Because this allows him to, if Caligo survives Alexstrasza or Pyroblast,
Right.
if the two smaller minions get
Precisely.
cleared, he still has lethal through it. Nozari and Divine Shield Murloc Dragon. Bronze something or other. You can always just assume that any bronze-ish colored dragon has bronze in the name. I say that while Nozari stares at me.
What to do?
I mean,
What to do?
yeah, they have bronze in their name, like you said, so discount their opinion immediately, as you do in most online matchmaking games.
He doesn't
I
have
say
bronze.
that
His
being a
name's
bronze
Scale Lord.
player in several games.
His name is Bronze Scale Lord.
Wow.
That's not it at all.
Jarla's going to wrap this up. Alexstrasza, Pyroblast going to close it out. And while there was moments where it seemed like Faeli held on way longer than the average Hearthstone player was, the outcome felt determined when Jarla was able to put on a lot of pressure and force Faeli to defensively Frost Nova. Because even if we got to that stage where there was legitimate threats on the side of Faeli, we still had Frost Nova and stuff ready to go on Jarla's side, and he still had other like ways he could have picked up spells to optimize that. He just kept picking up more aggressive stuff, but if the tides had turned, he also had more options for defensive responses to his opponent's board.
Yeah, absolutely. It was pretty tough for Faeli pretty much every step of the way. As soon as Jarla landed the first threat, Faeli was playing on the back foot the entire game. And when that happens and you can't get those necessary swing turns, it's going to be a bad time in the Mage Mirror.
All right, so with that, after a long discussion back and forth with many adjectives and analogies and very accurate quotes, we are done with 7 rounds of Swiss. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to get round 8 of Swiss. As you can see, the field is whittling down, so the journey to top 8 will officially commence in round 8 onward, so don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Hearthstone action presented by T-Mobile.
Hearthstone Masters Tour Arlington is brought to you by T-Mobile. Rank up with America's first and only nationwide 5G network.